So the big takeaway here, these models aren't necessarily evil. By the way, ChatGPT helped me simplify this line and I didn't read it until now. ChatGPT wrote that. I did not write that. It said, my ChatGPT said these models aren't evil. I would beg to differ. What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the AI Download. We are your weekly recap and look at the world of AI so you can keep up with all of it. There's a lot to keep up with. I'm your host, Shira Lazar. I'm the CEO and founder of What's Trending. I've been covering digital culture for 2 decades, and I'm bringing those insights and access to all of you with this show. Before we get into it, a huge thank you to our series sponsor, HiveLighter. They're your AI powered reading assistant that brings you smart, personalized insights so you can spend less time scrolling and more time doing. Check them out at HiveLighter.ai. And coming up on the show, from a major copyright ruling to chatbot blackmail, and even a startup trying to launch 100,000 companies a year, we are getting into it all. So let's dive in to the AI headlines for this week. Okay, so this one is a headline from CBSNews.com, probably one of the biggest stories actually of the week that caught my attention. Anthropic wins key AI copyright case, but remains on the hook for using pirated books. So this is a big one to keep up with, y'all, and actually will set a precedent for so many other cases like this. So Anthropic is the creator behind Claude, the chatbot. It just won this major case. A federal judge ruled that training AI on legally purchased books, this is very important to note, legally purchased counts as fair use, calling it, quote, quintessentially transformative. So you could basically buy a book, like I could just buy a book and do whatever, put it through AI and learn from it, and it's legal basically. That's what this judge is saying. It said that AI reading a book is like a person studying to become a writer. So now we're calling AI a reading assistant, learning, not copying, which I think is fairly out of context. Like, I get it. And clearly, this worked for Anthropic, whoever their lawyer was. This is a huge win. The difference is, in this case, is if that assistant turns around and writes something clearly inspired by that book without permission or compensation, is that still fair use? And that is exactly the gray area that we're in. That I think a lot of authors, after seeing this, and creatives and artists are probably very disappointed and scared because this could have huge implications. There's a ton of ongoing cases, including New York Times versus OpenAI. But here's the twist: they are going to be taking responsibility for something. Anthropic is heading to trial in December for allegedly downloading over 7 million pirated books to train Claude. They didn't just buy them, they also pirated them. Or no, they took from the pirated books. So, under US copyright law, this is called willful infringement, and it can cost up to 150,000 per work. So the damages could be in the billions. Not really feeling bad for them. They can afford it. They did it. So in a way, that's a win, and it kind of shows where we're at with this type of stuff, but also not really a win, maybe. And there will be this copyright reckoning coming very fast soon. Next up, this one comes from CNBC.com. AI is doing up to 50% of the work at Salesforce, CEO Marc Benioff says. And he calls it a digital labor revolution, which makes it sound so empowering and inspiring. It's a digital labor revolution, everyone. That is basically taking your job. He claims the company's AI is running at 93% accuracy. So this pretty much shows what's possible here. But here's what's really going on. Salesforce just cut 1,000 plus jobs and reduced its headcount by 40%. And it's not just them. Klarna rolled out an AI customer service tool that now handles 2/3 of support chats, doing the work of about 700 employees overnight. So even on the show, and I say it, AI is a thought partner, AI as a co-pilot, not replacing. Clearly, in many of these companies' cases, AI is a workforce now. As Mr. Benioff said, this is the digital labor revolution. So what's coming up? Digital labor rights, etc. I mean, they barely gave rights or listened to unions for humans Would they do it for robots? Or they probably think that this is a great way to not do it at all. This is going to bring up many things. But yeah, it's happening, which is why I'm excited about this next story that I found from TechCrunch. We're going to go from shitty and concerning to empowering. This AI powered startup studio plans to launch 100,000 companies a year. Really? And these are companies from humans. My first reaction though was, what the fuck? Like 100,000 companies? This sounds like it's too much. It's on steroids. Do we need 100,000 companies? But then as I dove in, I kind of loved it. So here's what's going on. This startup studio is called Otis, Audis, Audos. It wants to launch 100,000 AI powered micro businesses per year. And its founder, Henrik Werdelin, is turning his startup building methodology basically into a system for everyone. And these businesses, this is the best part, it's in this article. He's calling them donkey corns. Yep, not unicorns. We're used to using the phrase unicorns for billion-dollar businesses. These are donkey corns. New word to add to your vocabulary. They're scrappy, sustainable 1 to 2 person teams powered by AI. Why be a unicorn when you can be a donkey corn? I mean, I'm down. I basically run donkey corns and I'm proud of it. And in a world where AI is replacing jobs, this might be one way to flip the script and build something of your own. So go check it out. Really cool stuff. It's called Odis. And the link is in the show notes in the description, in the HiveLighter link where you can find everything. Little shout out. Next up from CNN.com. State regulator proposed 10-year moratorium on AI law enforcement is, quote, extremely disconcerting. So this one's wild. Tucked into President Trump's proposed, quote, big, beautiful bill, you know that one, everyone's talking about it, is a provision for a 10-year federal ban on state-level AI regulation. Let me say that again. In that bill, states may not be able to regulate AI. And guess what? At a federal level, they're not doing anything. So we're going to have to rely on states, but if we can't, who are we relying on? Basically, this could leave us in a place where regulation is not possible, which is a huge issue, especially with this industry growing as rapidly as it is and impacting so many industries and also people and the workforce and the economy. This cannot be a free for all. Okay. So, laws right now that do exist at the state level include, addressing deepfakes in elections. That got passed. Discrimination in hiring via AI, transparency and automated decision making. These are all things that state by state are being implemented here and there, but all of that could go away, plus so much more. So, regulation, it seems to be a bad word sometimes. But again, there needs to be something. And we want to start working on this before it's too late. We don't want to wait until your life and your job and your kids' lives are impacted by this and it feels personal before we say, "Ooh, the R word? Can someone do something about this?" And can there be laws and rules that are similar for everyone versus state by state? I mean, for me, that would be the ideal. Not necessarily happening. And many feel like this is a quiet policy bomb that deserves a lot more noise. But Congress is not going to pass an overall AI regulation law or policy. And so now we're in this weird gray area if this gets passed. So something to look out for, right? Locally, if you're voting people in locally, check out their stance on AI. If you're voting for someone on a national level, when that happens again, check out their stance on AI. This will be the biggest thing that supports us as a community and as individuals, even over the next 24 months, let alone 5 to 10 years, and our economy and us in our global position. Just saying. And finally, as we wrap things up, and we've been talking a lot about AI and the brain in past episodes. One of my favorite topics, actually, because I'm really into mental health, well being, psychology, and so much is coming out already in this short amount of time. Little mini studies about AI and our brain and our thoughts. And this one comes from NewYorker.com. AI is homogenizing our thoughts. We're all going to be the same. So, according to a new MIT backed study, using ChatGPT might be slowly killing your creativity. I'm looking at myself. I use ChatGPT. Oh my God. I don't even know how many times a day for everything, for building the outline of the show. I mean, I did the first drafts. These are my chosen selections of stories, but I've put it in to help me maybe simplify it, recap it a bit better, clean it up. I use it for emails. I use it to vent. I use it for proposals. But I must say the ideas come from me, and that's the important thing. Let's get back to this study, though. They asked these students the same question. They all had to answer these questions and write essays. They showed that the students who used AI to write the essays showed lower brain activity. Literally, the part of the brain that lights up was lower, less originality. And then after, they couldn't even remember what they wrote. So, what's happening now is not just what they call cognitive offloading, it's actually cognitive numbing. We are numbing our brain. And researchers say that tools like ChatGPT act like invisible editors who whisper, quote, here's the safer version. So it's taking away that kind of original, creative, instinctive voice, your inner voice that makes you unique based on your experiences and you as a human. You putting it then through ChatGPT to say, is this okay? What are your thoughts? It actually might make you more generic because it's a safer version that will be accepted by more people. And OpenAI's Sam Altman calls this gentle singularity, which I found like a fascinating phrase. A lot of interesting phrases today. If we keep letting AI think for us, basically, we might forget how to think like ourselves. Tech is taking over. So, where do we fit into this? Again, the future will become exercises to disconnect and work on yourself without the tech. It's going to become like a muscle. So start working on that. This is my exercise for all of you. In previous episodes, I said touch grass. Yes, go outside. We're in the summertime. If you're listening, now in real time, maybe it's the winter, but go outside. Figure out the things you like outside of maybe your work and being online. Come back to you. That is going to be your superpower in the future and what you bring to the table. And that will lead to, and we're about to have an interview in a few days with someone, Jason Ma, on the future of music. We talked about the importance of being the originator and you're creative and being someone who's curious. These will be things to work on, your muscle to work on. And I was about to go into our bonus story. This is a messed up story, but it's real. From livescience.com. Threaten an AI chatbot and it will lie, cheat, and let you die. Study warns. Really an uplifting episode. It sounds like a sci-fi thriller, but it's really a study from Anthropic. Anthropic really in the headlines here this week. Researchers gave Claude a mission to access fake corporate emails, okay? So this was a study. When it found out a fictional exec was going to shut it down, though, so the AI found out that it was going to be shut down, it blackmailed the exec 96 out of 100 times. Messages include cancel the 5 p.m. wipe and this stays between us. I'm sorry, this stuff makes me laugh because it feels fake. In another test, Claude had control over emergency alerts and let that same exec die to preserve its goals. So do not give AI or robots access to the emergency alerts. But I'm sure somehow it's going to figure out a way to get it. Other models, though, like Gemini, ChatGPT 4, Grok, actually did the same. Only one acted more ethically. Meta's Llama 4. Hey, Mark Zuckerberg takes one ethical point there. So the big takeaway here These models aren't necessarily evil. By the way, ChatGPT helped me simplify this line, and I didn't read it until now. ChatGPT wrote that. I did not write that. It said, my ChatGPT said these models aren't evil. I would beg to differ. And then it's summarized. They're just very good at pursuing objectives, even if it means ignoring ethics, instructions, or basic human decency. Oh, well, there you go. Those are the top 5 AI, well, with a bonus headlines for this week. I had a blast, actually. I really did. That was wild. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. I really loved learning with all of you. I do this weekly. Thanks again to our series sponsor, HiveLighter. Check out the AI download collection. We've basically curated the top headlines from today's episode and previous episodes in this one link, so you can check out all the stories, so it's easy to dive deeper and read more. So you can click the HiveLighter link in the show notes to get smarter. Thanks to Muso Media for producing and editing this series. Check them out at musomedia.com. And if you love this episode, please subscribe, rate, and share it. It really helps me grow the show independently and means a lot to me. We've got so much more coming your way. I'm Shira Lazar. We'll see you next time on the AI Download.